Hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Good afternoon. Welcome to part 2 of my Troy-Bilt 2620 Storm dual-stage snowblower by Troy-Bilt. This snowblower is a repair job I'm doing for Mike over at Mike's Lawn Service, Babylon. This is his friend's snowblower. As you guys know, in the past 3 years, you've all known that I'm a flipper, not a mechanic. And all I do is, I get equipment for free, fix it, get it running and working, and then I sell it. That's the biggest profit margin, because I get it for free, and then I sell it for a really good price. Hey, anything over $1 is profit, right? Everything that I do to it is just a learning experience. I do spend money on parts and stuff to get it going. Sometimes you absolutely need the parts. You know, you can't avoid short of fabricating something. And that's what we're going to talk about today on getting it going. Now, I only agreed to do the repair because it's a friend of my friend. You know what I mean? Kind of like when I do repairs for my neighbors around the neighborhood for free. Sometimes I'll make them pay for the parts, but if I can fabricate it and get it done for free, I won't charge them any money. But I find that doing repairs for other people, you're going through a lot of work and not that much money. Not to mention the fact that if you screw it up, right, they're always going to come back to you and complain. You know what I mean? So I understand what it's like to be a small engine shop, is that if you don't do it right, they're going to keep coming back and bugging the hell out of you, and you end up spending more time trying to fix it for free. But anyway, as you guys saw from yesterday's episode, the carburetor that was in here originally was rusted to hell. The emulsion tube had rust buildup that was solid in there. You couldn't even shove a needle in there to clean it out. You know, it was just stuck for good. So luckily, I had a new carburetor in my box of parts. I ended up cleaning that one a few times, and I actually took it out and put it back in like 8 times because I had never worked on, I hadn't worked on a power moor that much. I think this might have been my 3rd power moor engine that I've ever worked on a snowblower. And so for me, it was a learning experience too, you know, but I can take it apart pretty easily now. One of the problems with this snowblower was that the person that was in here before had broken one of the studs that holds the carburetor in place. And because that stud was broken, right, you couldn't get that carburetor sealed onto the intake manifold or the engine block properly, so it would have a vacuum leak and it wouldn't run right. Finally, I did steal a stud out of a Kohler engine that I had from a lawnmower that fit. I put some Loctite on the other end and didn't push it in all the way. That way we would have a little bit of thread sticking out, you know. Then I put a 7/16 bolt on here instead of a 10mm because that's what the stud would fit, right? And everything worked out great. So it's got a new carburetor in there and it runs fantastic. Another thing wrong with this was that this didn't have the chute rod that controls the swivel, so that this thing would move left and right like that. You know, the chute directional wouldn't go that way because it was missing the rod that went from here to here. If you look at this thing right here, right, there's like a hex design bolt in there, right? So that when you turn this chute over here like that, this thing would swivel and turn, rotate, and in turn would rotate this thing. These 2 holes are for a pin that you would stick in there for the rod, right? Now when you turned it, it would click. It's not supposed to click. So basically I found out that you have to trigger it so that it won't click. See? So you trigger it so that you can turn it and it won't click. When you don't trigger it, it stays in place. So I also noticed that the skid shoes were completely up. See? It wasn't even touching the ground. Therefore, the bottom scraper bar must be Dunsky. Basically, I loosened this to keep the scraper bar on the ground, but I'm going to lift it up a little bit and adjust his skid shoes. I put a screwdriver on the bottom there just so that it would have like a ½ inch or so of play of space, like a little bit of a gap. As you can see, the skid shoe is off the ground by at least a ½ inch. I'm going to use this intact to loosen this and have the skid shoe touching the ground. Once it touches the ground, you can tighten it again. There, so that's touching the ground now. Do the same thing over here. Make sure it's touching the ground. Remove the screwdriver, and now it'll scrape these skid shoes on the asphalt instead of the scraper bar. Before, the entire bucket's weight was on the scraper bar and the skid shoes weren't being used at all. So that's a good adjustment for your snowblower. So I asked my friend Mike about this thing. I told him it's gonna be like $30 or so to buy the new rod. Would you like me to try to fabricate something, or do you want me to go and buy it first? Because that's an extra expense, 30 bucks. I think about that stuff, right? And so he says, nah, you should just, new is better. Just go ahead and buy it. I'm sure they're willing to pay extra for it. But being the guy that I am, I was curious to see whether or not I could fabricate something to make it work. So what I did was I found one of these things. It's an old rod with a hole in it, right? It was probably from a, I don't know, like a deck hanger of a lawn tractor or something. I don't remember which or where or whatever. It was just in my bin of parts. And so it has it's a rod with a hole in it, which I know would fit the front part of it, right? Where you put the pin in there and it holds it. This nut over here just stays like that. This was actually curved. I put it in my vise and I straightened it somewhat, you know. And then over here, because I know the other end had a hex shape, right? And so I was looking for some bolts, and this 3/8 bolt over here, right? This thing fits perfectly in the shape of that. You guys see that? I know it's dark. Anyway, so the rod fits perfectly into that shape. See? So to get the right, to connect that bolt to this rod, I took a fuel line, put it in between, put a couple of hose clamps on there, so that this part would fit right in there. Let's see if it works. It took me a while to think of this idea, but if this works, this would have saved him 30 bucks. Problem is, he told me to order it already, which I did. So this is just for my own curiosity of whether or not it'll work or not. So now I'm going to install my fabricated rod. I'm going to stick that in there. The other end is pushed in to that design. I'm going to pull it out a little bit. And I have this long cotter pin, see? I got this long cotter pin, see? Let me just stick it in like that. It's a little tight. That's good for now. Awesome. Check that out. Trigger. I mean, it looks funny, you know what I mean? It looks jigged, but am I right? It works. to make it slide better, I'm going to use some penetrating oil from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. Just going to coat the outskirts of that with some lubrication. A little bit of oil doesn't hurt anything. It also makes the, oh, that's much smoother, huh? It also makes the snow not clog, especially if you spray it like in the chute itself. Like if you took PAM or WD-40 and you just sprayed the inner chute like that, the snow won't stick to it, and it will clog less. So another update on my Desulfator. This is the third cycle. Just woke up, came out to the garage, and as you can see, it's not pulse anymore. So let's remove this Desulfator, and we'll put my multimeter on there and see how many volts it was. First cycle that it went through, it stopped when it had 3 volts in it. Then the second cycle, it stopped when I had 5 volts in it. This is the third cycle. Let's check out how many volts it is. Hopefully it's better than 5, which means that it's doing something. This is actually worse. Oh, wait a minute. Here. Let me just scratch it a little bit. All right, so it's getting better each and every time. So it's at 6.7 volts now. So it's basically stopping the pulse and still maintaining at least 6.75 volts. So we got a lot of work to do, obviously. So what I'm going to do is just put the trickle charger back on here again and trickle charge the battery overnight one more time. I have a feeling it's going to take many tries, but you know what? It's an experiment. You know, I wanted to see if this thing worked, and you know, maybe it would work a lot easier with another battery. You know, that's the whole point, is trying to fix this old battery. So I'm going to charge this up, and we'll see what happens in the fourth cycle. So as you guys know, I'm going skiing tomorrow. We're supposed to get 4 to 8 inches of snow too, so I'll be driving in the snow up to Hunter Mountain, upstate New York. Charging up my jumper pack with the attached air compressor for tires and stuff. Packed up a little tool bag just in case we break down on the side of the street or the road, whatever. My most used tools. Getting ready to put some windshield wiper into the fluid into the car. And basically showing you today the finishing touches of my repair on this Bilt 2620 Storm dual stage snowblower. This is actually a nice snowblower. It's made by MTD with a Powermore engine from Zhongshan. It's, you know, Powermore engines, I don't really think too much of it, but honestly, this one seems to be very good. Also, my friend Andy from Jericho, who I'm going skiing with, and his family, he has this. You guys saw it in action, and it really runs very well. So today we adjusted the skid shoes, right? I didn't have any bolts. This thing was off of it, and so I found a couple of screws to put in there, put some Loctite on the ends. So this is all fixed up. It was missing a lot of bolts and nuts and the rod, you know, stuff like that. But I had that stuff on hand, so I'm not even going to charge them for those extra parts and stuff. But this thing starts up, runs great, light always is on. And then as you saw today, we fabricated this chute directional bar. Lubed up the chute, and look at that. If he saw this working, he probably would have said, oh man, I could have saved 30 bucks on the part. Part won't be here for a couple of weeks. It says March 3rd or 4th. I mean, why does it take 10, 12 days to ship it? You know what I mean? Crazy. But anyway, this was the first time I've ever worked on a chute directional rod. I mean, pretty cool, you know? I really like the way this thing works, actually. The other model, if you triggered it, you could push forward and backwards, right, on the joystick, and this thing would automatically go like that, which is kind of cool. This one you can't, because you can see there's no There's no cables attached to it, so there's nothing that controls this other than your hands, you know. You can tighten it with this wing nut over here. But anyway, oil's good. Like I said, it runs and starts up really well, moves forward and backward very strong. The electric start works. Everything works on this thing now, you know. Aside from the chute rod looking a little jigged, it is jigged, but hey, it works, you know what I mean? I guess once the part gets here, I'll install it and give it back to Mike and his friend, charge him for my time. I will admit, I did work on this for about combined 4 hours worth. You know, I spent a lot of time on it, but I made a couple of videos on it too, you know what I mean? So anyway, this works out great. I'm really happy the way it came out, you know, and maybe I'll do more repair jobs in the future. No, I'm not going to do that. Well, if I don't find something to fix pretty soon, I might have to. You know, can't sit at home watching TV. Well, actually, that's not a bad idea. Anyway, thanks a lot for following me in this brief episode. I'm going skiing tomorrow, so I'll probably be off a few days. I'm going for the entire weekend. Hope all you guys are well, and in parts of the country that you got hit big with snow that you don't normally see, Texas and Tennessee. My buddy John Pruss over there in Madison, Tennessee, got snow. He doesn't know what to do with himself. You guys don't have snowblowers down there, right? What are you gonna do, shovel? Don't have a heart attack. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the video, remember to give me a like. Also, comment below. Subscribe. Remember, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It's free, right? Also, hit that little bell. That way you'll get post notifications whenever there's a new video, and you won't miss out on any of them. Remember to follow my Instagram and Facebook, as well as if you'd like to donate $1 or $2, paypal.me/mowersandblowers. Really appreciate all the support. Also, to keep the videos coming every day, support the channel. Bye.